Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today it's release day for C&CT Stamp, and I get to share with you a brand new product from their Celebrate You release. They just released it today, and I'm so excited about this release. Most popular birthday cards are celebration or birthdays, and so I encourage you to check it out, and I'll leave links down below. But I get to play with this stamp set today. It's called the Tiny Words Birthday. There's several Tiny Words sentiment stamps out there. There's a Christmas one, a faith one, and then also an encourage one that came out with the last release. So I was excited to see a birthday one. Now these are single lined, double lined, and triple lined. I think there's one even in here that has 4 lines. So I thought since there's so many of them, we could create a background for our project today. We're going to make a birthday card, and it's a gender neutral birthday card. So I brought in my mini Misty here, and I'm taking just the single line sentiments like enjoy your day, happy birthday, let's celebrate, best birthday ever. There's lots and lots. I didn't use the belated birthday, so I just kept it strictly birthday themed. But I'm creating a row with the sentiment stamps here. And I'm using the grid line on the lid of my Misty to help me keep them straight. And I'm going to create 4 rows with these sentiments. I thought 4 was a perfect amount. The cardstock that I'm using in my mini Misty here is Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. We're going to do some heat embossing on here. So I'm going over it with my anti-static powder bag. And I'm actually going to use my tape runner and tape my panel to my Misty. I think this is going to work out a little bit better, and then that way the magnets doesn't keep getting in my way, because we're going to be shifting the paper. I'm going to cover the entire background. Okay, once it's lined up, I'm going to go over my images with my C&CT Stamp watermark ink, and we're going to stamp 1 row. Lovely. I'm going to go over my stamped images with some white embossing powder. And I chose to do 1 row at a time because it was a little bit tough for me to see where my stamped images was. And when I added the white embossing powder, I could see it a lot better. But I just added that. I'm going to use my heat gun and melt my sentiments. And then I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process. I'm using a little piece of Post-it tape to help mark the grid lines on my Misty. This way I know where to shift. Just help me out a little bit. But I stamped 1 more row, and then it was easy for me to line up because I used the grid lines on the door of my Misty, and then when I shift my paper I use the grid lines on my mat there. But I went entirely up and down my panel, just repeating the same process. This is our last line. And I wasn't worried if the sentiment was chopped off on the bottom or if it was uneven on the sides, because we're going to die cut out this panel. But first, we're going to color it in. We're going to color it in with some oxide inks. I'm going to do a little bit of blending. And I wanted to do a diagonal blend. So I'm starting off with peacock feathers, just using my blending tool. We're going to shade in the upper left corner here. Next, we're going to take the spice marmalade and add a little bit of shading right next to this. Now the colors, especially these 2 colors, it was a little tough to blend and get a nice transition between these 2 colors because they're so different. But I wasn't too worried about that, only because we're going to do some die cutting with this panel. So we're just creating the process, keeping it at a diagonal, adding our peacock feathers and just blending those 2 colors together, and then adding again spice marmalade. And I did add the yellow. The yellow was squeezed lemonade. And we'll add that 1 more time on this bottom corner, filling in our entire panel. And I think that's going to work out great. Now, to help with the transition between the lines, I thought we'd spray it with water and add a little bit of texture. This will take our eyes off of those blended areas, and it's also going to give us a little bit of texture added to our background. I'm just using my towel to sop up any extra water. And I thought we'd add a little bit of sparkle. I know that I said this was good for a card good for a boy or a girl. You don't usually associate sparkles with boys, but we're going to die cut some stars out of this panel, and I thought stars are shiny, and we're going to add a little bit of sparkle. I used the Sparkle Shimmer Spritz for that, and everything I used today, guys, will be listed down below. But that's our panel. Next, we're going to take a Simon Says Stamp die. This is a happy birthday die. I'm going to die cut that out with some black cardstock. And then I took 3 different sizes of stars, star dies, and I'm going to die cut out the largest, trying to get all 3 colors, and then the 2 smaller ones I wanted to kind of differentiate between the colors, because we're going to kind of layer them in a little cluster in the middle of our panel. So there they are. This is our happy birthday. Such a pretty font. I did cut out, or I stamped an additional sentiment. This one says, "May your day be as wonderful as you are." And I stamped that on black cardstock and then just trimmed it down with my paper trimmer. The panel that I'm going to be adding all these elements to is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I just popped up each one of my stars and put them in a little cluster in the center here. And now we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue behind our birthday, and we're going to place that right on top of the stars. I'm going to use an acrylic block to kind of help secure that to my stars and weigh it down while I go ahead and add some glue to my happy. We're going to adhere this right above our birthday. Lovely. Okay, we're going to take the second part of our sentiment. I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to fishtail the very left side of it, which I end up changing later on. I end up blocking it off later on. So you could probably skip this step. But again, using my scissors, we're going to fishtail the end. And then I am going to add some foam tape behind here. And we're going to basically place that right below our sentiment. Okay, once we have this adhered, we're going to flip our panel over. We're going to add this to our card base. Our card base today is a standard A2 size card base. We'll just place this panel in the middle. Okay, now we're going to add a few little iridescent stars. I think this is where I messed it up. I chopped off that end and it just didn't look complete for me. So I end up changing that in just a moment. But these stars are from Studio Katia, and I think they're just perfect size. They're 2 different sizes, a small and a large. And I'm going to add 2 to the very top and then a 3 on the very bottom. And then I was going to call this card done, but as I was showing you guys the card, I thought it's just not flowing right for me. So I'm going to carefully and very carefully remove my black sentiment strip. I didn't want to tear the stars that we created in our background, but I'm going to use my scissors and block it off. So I'm going to chop off that fishtail and then trim down the right side here. And I think this is going to work out a lot better. I was more happy with this outcome. I'm just going to place it under the birthday. And then that finishes off my card today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a lovely day. Encourage you to check out the brand new Celebrate You release over at the Simon Shop. I'll link it down below. And have a great day. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.